Hi everyone, thanks for having me. So it's 1990 and I'm at a keg party and I'm mad at my boyfriend because a few months earlier he had told somebody, he introduced me to some girls as his cousin. And I wasn't real pleased with it, but I didn't do anything in the moment. I waited until this keg party and I met this adorable guy named Chico and I thought, well, this is the perfect moment. And so I looked at my boyfriend and I said, I'll see you later, cousin. And I went into a bedroom with Chico. And yeah, I was like, you're coming with me, let's go do this. And so I went and slept with Chico. I wake up the next morning and my very first thought was, oh shit, I am pregnant. I knew it, I felt it in my bones, and I went back home, and a few weeks later, sure enough, my period didn't show up, and I decided I needed to take a pregnancy test to confirm what I already knew. And so I was in South Georgia, this little tiny town called Fitzgerald. It's not the kind of place where you can just run down to Walmart and get a pregnancy test without the whole town knowing. So I got my grandmother's wedding ring, and I put it on so that I didn't look like a whore. And I drove to a little town about half an hour away and went to Kmart. And with my wedding ring on, I bought a pregnancy test, and then I went into the Kmart bathroom. And I peed on the stick, and I waited 5 minutes, and sure enough, the little positive pink plus sign showed up, and I was faced with, okay, now you're pregnant, what are you gonna do? I went home, I made a call to a hotline. I talked to a woman for a few minutes and she started giving me all of my options. Well, you can have the baby and there are services that will help you raise it and take care of it. You can give the baby up for adoption. There are different places that you can contact. You can do it privately, you can do it quietly. And I said, well, what about abortion? And she said, we're not allowed to talk to you about that. Again, this is South Georgia, and it's a tiny town, and so there's nowhere for me to go if I want to get an abortion, and I absolutely wanted to get an abortion. And I didn't feel safe telling anybody that I wanted to get an abortion because I'm in the belt buckle of the Bible Belt, and I already am a whore for sleeping with somebody, and I can't add baby killer to that in front of my hometown. And so I started praying. I didn't have a car, I didn't have money. I couldn't drive somewhere to get an abortion, right? So I prayed because that's what you do in South Georgia. And as time's going on, I'm still not getting my period. I know that I'm pregnant, you can feel it. I'm making up excuses to go outside in the morning so that I can vomit into the bushes so that my mother doesn't catch on. I'm 19, I'm still living at home, and I spend 3 months talking to God. Please, you know I don't need to have this baby, God. Get rid of it. And it didn't happen. That summer, I'm probably 4 months pregnant at this point. I've given up because I've passed the first trimester. There's no way I'm going to get an abortion now. God has not come through for me. And so that summer we went on a family trip to Disney World. And I was like, let's ride Space Mountain. Because I'm going to ride every ride that says, if you're pregnant, don't ride this ride. And I'm getting on Space Mountain like 5 times, and I'm strapping the seatbelt right over my belly, like, all right, let's go, let's do this. And nothing. Totally fine. I lived with my mom this whole time, and luckily it's the early 90s, and so everybody's wearing stretch pants and big baggy sweaters, and I didn't get pregnant in that cute little, like, beach ball way. I got pregnant, fat, and so I just look like I'm gaining all this weight really rapidly. And luckily my mother was so out of touch with me that she never seemed to notice that I was pregnant, that I wasn't asking for tampons or anything. And time is going on, and I've made my decision now that I'm giving the baby up for adoption. It's my only option. I haven't started college yet. I am 19. I don't want a baby. And so I go through this pregnancy, and I'm trying to hide it from my mom. When I'd wear jeans, I had this system where I would put a rubber band through the buttonhole and then strap it over around the button so that I could wear my same clothes, you know. And there was one night my mom and I had driven somewhere, and I was driving her home, and she wanted to lay her head down in my lap. And I am pregnant at this time, like 6 months maybe. So the baby is out here, and it's kicking and things, and the whole ride I'm trying to hold my stomach in so that the baby doesn't kick my mother in the head and have her find out that way. And so it's just this nightmare of an experience for me. And somehow I had also kind of separated myself from it. Like, I just wasn't believing it completely. It's happening, and I'm getting bigger, and every once in a while there's like a foot sticking out of my stomach, and it's just weird things are going on with my body. And but at the same time I was like, okay, well, we'll just see how this goes. I want to give the baby up for adoption, but that's the only plan I've got. I haven't told my mother. I'm hoping that maybe she'll notice and ask me so that I can finally get it out, and that doesn't happen. And the day that I went into labor, Mom's friend had moved into a new house, and we were helping her pull furniture. My first contraction happened when I had a twin mattress on my back that I was carrying into the house. And it didn't really hit me, it felt like a cramp, and we got home, and time is going by, and a few hours later I'm standing in the kitchen on the phone talking to somebody, and I get this contraction that just like almost takes me to my knees. And Mom walks in just as I'm like laid over the kitchen counter, like in so much pain. And she's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "Oh, I've got the worst cramps of my life." And she said, "Oh, okay, well, do you want a Vicodin?" And I said, "All right, I'll take a Vicodin, I guess." And at this point, I'm like, oh shit, this is happening. I'm about to have a baby. And my mom gave me the Vicodin, and we all went to bed. And so I lay in bed for another couple of hours as the contractions are getting more contractions. They're coming faster, they're harder, and it's Christmas time. And so I'm imagining this pain, like it felt like a Christmas tree, because it would kind of start really small, and then it would just grow and grow and grow to the point that I just thought, I can't take it anymore, and then it kind of snapped back to where the stem of the tree is, So I'm imagining this, and I'm laying in bed, and I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm in labor, I'm having a baby. My mother's asleep in the living room on the sofa, and I get up at a point, and I go to the bathroom, and I start bleeding. And it is just like gallons of blood, it seems like. And so then I think, okay, well, I guess I have to tell her now. I'm going to have to go wake her up. And so I'm standing in the living room looking at my mother in the light of the Christmas tree. And I think everything's about to change. And I wake her up and I say, "Mom, you got to get up. I need to go to the hospital." And she's kind of groggy. And she's like, "Wait, what's going on?" And I was like, "Mom, I'm pregnant and I'm having a baby right now, and we have to go to the hospital right now." "What? You're not pregnant? What are you talking? You just got cramps, Susan. There's no way." And I was like, "No, actually, it's not cramps, it's contractions. I've been pregnant for 9 months. It is time. We have to go now. We don't have any time." And she said, "No, I don't believe you. Let me check it out." She makes me go back to the bedroom, and she checks it out. And I don't know what she saw, but it convinced her. And she was like, "Oh my God, we have to go right now." And I was like, "Thank you, yes, let's go, let's go, let's go." We go to get in the car. And as we get in, she's screaming at me, "I can't believe this. How did this happen? What's going on?" And I was like, "Do you think maybe we can just get me to the hospital? We'll talk about it later. I'll tell you everything, but just, oh my God, please. I'm covered in blood. I'm terrified. Let's go." And she gets in the car and she's like, "Damn it, Susan, we don't even have gas in the car." And I was like, "It's fine. The hospital's a mile away." we can make it. Let's just go. And she's like, we're not going to this hospital. How are we going to go to the hospital here? People will find out. So instead, we go to the gas station. And there at the gas station, I'm sitting in the passenger seat with my feet up on the dash, having just nonstop contractions, and she's pumping. She gets the gas, and we start driving like crazy people through the backwoods of South Georgia, back to that little town where I had sat in Kmart and found out that I was pregnant. And we get to the hospital, and as they're rolling me in, they grabbed me, threw me on a gurney, rolling me in, and I looked at the doctor and I said, I don't want to see it. And he said, okay. And so I had a baby very quickly after. I heard the baby cry, and I looked up and I saw a nurse just grab it and run out the door. The next morning, the doctor has us come into his office, and we sat down and I talked to them about what I had decided. I don't want to keep the baby. He happened to know a family that wanted to adopt somebody, and so I was like, great, perfect. I'm glad this is working out. And so within a few hours, I was back in my room, and I had adoption papers that I was signing. And on the paper it said, Susan Kent gives up her rights to a baby girl. And that's when it hit me that this was a real person, and that this had actually happened, and that I was giving this child up. And I signed the papers, and I said, can you please get the baby to the mother right now, because I know how important those first few days of bonding are, and I wanted them to be okay. And they did. The parents picked up the baby that afternoon, and when you sign over your child for adoption, you have 10 business days to change your mind. And those 10 days, it was 2 weeks almost because of weekends, and I was so sad for that mother who was there with this new baby girl and was terrified that I was going to change my mind. And I wanted to reach out to her and tell her that it was okay and it's going to be fine and she's yours. I didn't do that. We made it past the 10 days, and this baby was hers. And my mom never talked to me about it again. We got back home. She helped me with all the post-baby things that you have to do. You have to sit in these like iodine baths because of your episiotomy, and you are wearing these pads and all this stuff, and she's helping me with that kind of stuff, but she never spoke to me about it. She woke up one day and I was crying because I had just seen some diaper commercial on the TV, and when she saw me I was like, oh, I'm okay. And quickly I realized she hadn't even noticed that I was crying. And it wasn't until she died back in 2010 that she mentioned it to me again. And on her deathbed she said, I know where the baby is. And she apparently had been tracking this child for 20 years at that, 20 years at that point. And then she wouldn't tell me where the baby was. And I didn't really want to know because I made my decision. I made that choice, and I'm sticking with it. Baby girl turned 25 this past December, and my records are open. And so this is the end of the story for now, but maybe not forever. Thank you.